Yesterday, when I was young.
One moment, one record, one chance to matter. And, in the 1960s, some of them changed country music forever. But here's what most people don't know. The artists behind these songs, some of them never saw it coming, some of them never recovered, and some of them walked away and were never heard from again. These weren't failures, these were flashes of lightning. Songs so powerful, one was enough. But the stories behind them? Nobody ever told you the whole truth. Until now.
Listen to a story about a man named Jed, old mountaineer.
This is the top 10 most famous one-hit wonder songs of 1960s country music, and by the time we reach number 1, you'll never hear it the same way again. Number 10. Ferlin Husky, Wings of a Dove. Story is bittersweet. The next one is going to hit you even harder. Number 9. Leroy Van Dyk, Walk On By.
If I see you tomorrow on some...
Imagine it's 1961. You're sitting in a diner somewhere in the Midwest. The jukebox kicks on. And out comes this voice, smooth, low, a little heartbroken, telling a story about seeing someone you used to love walk right past you like you never existed. That is the gut punch of Walk On By.
It wouldn't look so good to know someone
Leroy Van Dyk cut this record for Mercury Records, and it became one of the biggest crossover hits of the entire decade. Not just on the country charts, this thing climbed the pop charts too, reaching millions of people who had never tuned into a country station a day in their lives. Billboard ranked it among the top country songs of 1961.
I love you, but we're strangers when we meet.
The song is simple. A man sees an old lover in public. He knows it's over. He tells her, just walk on by. Don't stop. Don't make this harder than it already is. It's heartbreak with dignity. And that combination hit people right in the chest.
Strangers when we meet.
Here's the fun part. Van Dyk was not your typical Nashville artist. He was an auctioneer, a real one. He had actually won the World Livestock Auctioneering Championship before he ever set foot in a recording studio.
Tonight we'll try to say goodbye again.
That voice you hear, that smooth, controlled delivery came from years of calling cattle auctions, not vocal lessons in Nashville. But after Walk On By peaked, the follow-up singles just didn't connect the same way. The pop audience moved on. Country radio started chasing new sounds.
So why pretend? Just walk on by.
And Van Dyk, despite being a genuinely talented performer, never found his way back to that level of success. The song became his calling card, and also his ceiling. It's a tough thing. To have one perfect moment and spend the rest of your career living in its shadow.
Just walk on by, wait on the corner.
But this next song? This next artist had a moment so big, it became a piece of American television history. Number 8. Flatt and Scruggs, The Ballad of Jed Clampett.
Listen to a story about a man named Jed, old mountaineer.
Picture this. It's 1962. Every Tuesday night, millions of Americans sit down in front of their television sets and hear that banjo kick in. That unmistakable sound. That rolling, galloping bluegrass melody that told you one thing: the Beverly Hillbillies were back.
Black gold, Texas tea.
Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs were not newcomers. They were legends. They had been playing bluegrass music since the 1940s. Earl Scruggs had literally changed the way the entire world played the banjo. His three-finger picking style became the foundation of modern bluegrass. These were not small names. These were giants. But the Ballad of Jed Clampett, the theme song to one of the most popular TV shows in American history, was their only #1 hit on the country charts. One song, one shot at the top.
So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly. He ordered that in.
Despite decades of extraordinary music, it was this simple, funny, storytelling tune about an oil-rich hillbilly family moving to Beverly Hills that put them on top of the Billboard country chart. Here's what makes this fascinating. The producers of the Beverly Hillbillies specifically wanted Flatt and Scruggs for the theme. They wanted that authentic Appalachian sound. And Flatt and Scruggs delivered something so perfectly American, so rooted in the mountains and the working-class South, that it connected with every single kind of listener. Country fans, city folks, kids, grandparents, everyone.
I'd like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. I want to invite you back again to this location.
But because it was tied to a television show, some people in the serious music world never gave it the credit it deserved. It got labeled as a novelty song, a TV theme, not real country music. And that label followed them even as the song sold millions.
Up through the ground comes bubbling through, all that is.
The truth is that song preserved bluegrass music for a whole generation of people who might never have heard it otherwise. That's not a small thing, that's everything. And speaking of songs that deserve more respect than they ever got, this next one is a working-class anthem that radio never fully embraced. Number 7. Jimmy Dean, Big Bad John.
Every morning at the mine, you could see him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 240.
Late 1961. You're driving home from a long shift at the plant. AM radio crackles on, and then you hear it. That deep, slow build. That spoken word storytelling. A song about a big, quiet man who worked harder than everyone else and died saving his crew.
Big John. Big Bad John.
Big Bad John by Jimmy Dean is one of those songs that doesn't just entertain you. It makes you stand up a little straighter. Jimmy Dean recorded this for Columbia Records, and it went to #1 on both the Billboard Country Chart and the Billboard Hot 100 Pop Chart. That crossover success was rare, real rare.
He didn't say much, he's kind of quiet and shy, and if you spoke at all, you just...
Dean wrote the song himself, reportedly in about 45 minutes, on a tour bus, after someone told him a story about a big, mysterious man nobody really knew. He turned that image into a legend. A working man's hero. The kind of man who never talked about himself, but showed up when it mattered most.
From a huge right hand sent a Louisiana fella to the promised land, Big John.
Here's the behind-the-scenes truth. Columbia Records was not sure about this song. The spoken word style was unusual. The slow build felt risky. Some people at the label thought radio wouldn't play it. They were wrong. Radio couldn't stop playing it.
Big John. Then came the day at the bottom.
It won Dean the Grammy Award for Best Country and Western Recording in 1962. It was one of the biggest songs of the entire year in any genre. But after Big Bad John, Jimmy Dean never climbed that high again as a recording artist. He became more famous for his television work and later, believe it or not, for his sausage brand.
Through the dust and the smoke of this man-made hell walked...
Most younger folks today know the name Jimmy Dean from the grocery store, not the radio. That's a strange kind of legacy. But Big Bad John is still powerful, still moving, still a tribute to the working man that country music was built on.
Big John, Big John.
The next song on our list came from a completely different world, not Nashville, not Texas, but the mountains of the American South. And it became something that divided people when it first came out. Number 6. The Stone Poneys' Different Drum. 1967. The world is changing fast. Vietnam is on the news every night. The counterculture is exploding on the coasts. And somewhere in between all of that noise, a young woman with a voice like warm sunlight stepped up to a microphone and sang something that didn't sound like anything else on country radio.
Boy, do you cry and moan and say...
Different Drum by the Stone Poneys feels like standing at a crossroads. Country music, folk music, rock and roll. It touched all three and belonged fully to none of them. That was both its greatest strength and the reason it confused Nashville. The
So don't get me wrong, it's not without no.
Stone Poneys were a folk rock trio from Los Angeles, not Nashville. They recorded Different Drum, written by Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, and it peaked at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song is about someone who isn't ready to settle down, who loves someone but knows they aren't built for the kind of life that person needs.
Yes, and I saying you ain't.
It's honest, it's a little cold, and it's beautifully sad. Here's the truth behind the story. The Stone Poneys as a group never had another hit. By 1968, they had broken up, gone. But the young woman singing lead vocals, she did not disappear. Not even close. That voice belonged to Linda Ronstadt, who went on to become one of the biggest stars in American music history. Multiple Grammy Awards, massive album sales, an icon. But in 1967, she was just a girl in a band that had one shot and they made it count.
If you live without me.
The band is the real one-hit wonder here. Linda Ronstadt just happened to be standing in the room when lightning struck. And the next story, this one involves a woman who fought Nashville and won, at least for one incredible moment. Number 5. Roy Clark, Yesterday When I Was Young, performed well too. But what made this record different was the emotion behind it. Roy Clark was known for being the life of the party, and here he was, singing something deeply personal and vulnerable.
My dazzled eyes refused to see. I ran.
Here is the fun fact that most people walk right past. This song was not originally written in English. It was a French song, Hier Encore, written by Charles Aznavour in 1964. The English lyrics were adapted, and Clark made it completely his own.
And every conversation I can now recall.
But the bones of the song came from a French chanson tradition, not Nashville at all. The reason it's been somewhat forgotten is simple. Roy Clark, the television personality, was so big, so funny, so beloved that Roy Clark, the serious recording artist, got swallowed up by the image. People remember the laughs. This song reminds you there was so much more going on underneath. It deserves to be heard again, really heard. And if that one gave you chills, the next song is going to take you straight back to a moment in country music that nobody in Nashville saw coming. Number 4, John, because this song, North to Alaska, became his final statement, and it is a powerful one. The next song on our list is one that almost never made it to radio, and when it did, it changed the conversation about women in country music. Number 3, Jeannie C. Riley, Harper Valley, PTA. Picture a small-town meeting room, fluorescent lights, folding chairs, and a woman who just got a letter telling her she wasn't good enough to raise her own daughter. She didn't cry about it. She showed up. Harper Valley, PTA was written by Tom T. Hall and recorded in 1968 for Plantation Records, a small, independent label that had no business knocking the big Nashville boys off the charts. But that's exactly what it did. The song hit number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the Hot Country Singles chart in the same week. That had almost never been done by a woman before. It was a story about hypocrisy, about the people pointing fingers while hiding their own secrets. Every listener knew someone exactly like that. Here's what most people don't realize. Jeannie C. Riley recorded this song in one session. She had never had a hit before. The label was so small, some radio stations almost didn't play it. But once it got out, nothing could stop it. She had other country chart entries after this. But to mainstream America, she was always the woman from that one song, one moment, one truth. And it rang out so loud it never stopped echoing. And the next song on this list, this one was recorded by a man in uniform, a real soldier. And it became the #1 song in all of America. Number 2, Staff SGT, Barry Sadler, The Ballad of the Green Berets.
Fighting soldiers from the sky.
1966. Vietnam is on every television screen. Protest music is flooding the radio. And then out of nowhere, a real soldier in full uniform sits down and sings a song about the men fighting and dying overseas. Not a protest, not a complaint, a tribute.
The brave men of the Green.
The Ballad of the Green Berets topped the Billboard Hot 100 in March 1966, staying at #1 for 5 weeks. Within 2 weeks of its major label release, it had sold more than 1 million copies, going on to become Billboard magazine's #1 single for the entire year of 1966.
America's best 100 men.
It also crossed over to the country chart #2 because working-class America heard something real in that voice. Barry Sadler was not a professional singer. He was an Army Special Forces medic who had served in Vietnam and was recovering from a serious injury when he wrote this song.
Trained to live off nature's land.
He recorded it with Sid Bass at RCA's studio in New York City in December 1965. The song honored the elite soldiers who trained harder than anyone, the ones who never made excuses and never asked for anything back.
Courage take from the.
After his mega hit, Sadler's music career faded. He found a second career writing paperback novels. Then his life took a tragic turn. He was shot in the head in Guatemala City in 1988, became a quadriplegic, and died in a Tennessee VA hospital in 1989. He was 49 years old.
America's best 100 men.
One song, one act of honor, and a life that ended far too soon. That is the weight this song carries, and it deserves to be remembered not just as a hit, but as a human story. The final song on our list needs no long introduction. You already know it, but I promise you, you don't know the whole story. Not yet.
Well, we're not ready. We got a man down. Thank you.
If you grew up with this kind of country music, take a moment to subscribe to Retro Vault. This channel is about keeping these songs and stories alive, and every subscription truly helps the channel grow. It tells YouTube that real country music history still matters and helps these videos reach more people who remember this era. The more support the channel gets, the more stories we can keep bringing you. Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. #1. Bobby Gentry Ode to Billie Joe.
Was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day.
Summer of 1967. A 25-year-old woman from rural Mississippi walks into Capitol Records with a demo tape she recorded herself because she was too broke to hire a singer. 5 weeks later, that demo knocked the Beatles off the top of the Billboard Hot 100.
And at dinner time we stopped and walked back.
Ode to Billie Joe reached the top of Billboard's Hot 100 on August 26, displacing All You Need Is Love by the Beatles, and remained the #1 pop song for 4 weeks. Bobby Gentry wrote it, played guitar on it, and produced it in an era when women in Nashville rarely got credit for any of those things.
And then she said,
The song is about a family sitting at dinner, casually talking about a local boy named Billie Joe McAllister who jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Nobody at that table stops to feel it. Nobody breaks down. They just pass the biscuits and move on. And somewhere at that table, silent, devastated, sits the narrator.
Jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
The only one who truly knew him. Gentry said the mystery of what was thrown off that bridge wasn't the point. The point was the indifference. The human ability to sit next to someone who is quietly breaking apart and not even notice.
Joe never had a lick of sense. Pass the biscuits, please.
The track spent 4 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was 3rd in the Billboard year-end chart of 1967. earning Gentry the Grammy Awards for Best New Artist and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance in 1968.
Mama said it was a shame about Billie.
Then slowly, quietly, she walked away. No farewell, no explanation. She simply stopped, and she has never come back. The song remains, haunting, unresolved, completely alive.
And now Billie Joe.
That is what a perfect song does. It outlives everything, even the silence of the person who made it. That is what a perfect song does. It outlives everything, even the silence of the person who made it.